Under the Human Rights Act in Queensland, all government agencies and their employees have an obligation to make decisions that are compatible with human rights. This includes an obligation to properly consider human rights prior to making a decision. The decision maker must be able to establish that they identified all human rights which may be affected by a decision and ensure that any limitations placed on those rights are demonstrably justified. Examples of where a government agency must consider human rights prior to making decisions that affect its employees include a decision to suspend or stand down an employee, a decision to impose certain conditions or requirements on an employee's employment, when making or giving directions to an employee to perform a task, disclose certain information or undertake certain procedures, and when terminating an employee or imposing some other form of disciplinary action. In a recent landmark decision litigated by Sibley lawyers, it was held that the Commissioner of Police failed to properly consider human rights prior to giving a direction that enforced an employee to receive a medical procedure in the form of a vaccination. This direction required vaccination in order to remain employed. In terms of the human right that had been engaged but not properly considered by the Commissioner when making the direction to be vaccinated, the Supreme Court held the right not to be subject to a medical treatment or procedure without that person's free, full and informed consent had not been properly considered prior to the direction being made. The decision confirms that the court will look at all the material before a decision maker at the time of making a decision or taking a certain course of action to determine whether human rights were properly considered, and will find a decision or action unlawful if the decision maker cannot demonstrate that they adequately considered any human right that was limited by a decision. The case sets an important precedent which will greatly influence the manner in which public entities make decisions affecting their employees in the future.